Welcome. So we are going to do our predictions, but we're also going to do our wish lists of what Remarkable Free could look like. It's going to work a little bit something like this. We're going to use the dice to pick randomly. Don't ask me how a dice with 6 faces is going to pick between 3 people, but we can work it out. And we are all going to tell you what we really hope for and what we are actually expecting to see on Remarkable Free. And really, we also are really interested to hear what you guys think about that as well. And I'm hoping that there'll be some time for question and answer at the end. So do you want to say hello? My name's Kit, and we're streaming on all 3 of our channels. And Brandon, say hello.
So is everybody else getting Kit 3 times?
Oh, sound-wise?
I'm not.
Oh, I'm getting echoes. Fun.
Yeah, let us know if the sound is acceptable. And Voya, why don't you say hello, and Brandon just check.
Yep. Hello, everyone. I know that I'm gonna get questions because I do get comments for my eyes and stuff. The appearance here, it's the allergy seasons, and it's particularly bad today. So yeah, if you see me squinting, doing weird things and stuff, and the redness here, yeah, it's blame pollen and spring, yeah, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm Voya from My Deep Guide, and I'm happy to be a part of the trio as well. Brandon, any help with the feedback stuff?
I'm gonna take my headphones out so I don't have to hear you guys. But hey everyone, my name is Brandon. I'm happy to be here. I'm gonna try and get my audio straight because every time people talk, I hear all 3 of them. So that's on my end. Bear with me for a minute.
Okay, cool. Well, let's pick who goes first, and if it's Brandon, then
Tough luck.
We can just talk and we'll listen. So this is how it's going to work. So we've got a dice, and 1 and 2 is Voya, and 3 and 4 is Brandon, and 5 and 6 is me. We're going to go through our wish list first. Okay, so it's 2. Okay. So Voya, you kick off.
Yeah.
I will load up the screen with your Remarkable, if that's okay.
It's just yeah, we can have the Remarkable, and me, it doesn't really, you can show up actually the Remarkable. I think it'll work. So as far as the wish list goes, I hope that they stick to the minimalism thing that they've been using since the beginning. I think personally that Remarkable 2 is an absolutely gorgeous device even 4 years in. Even if it came out today, just the way it looks like now, it's still contemporary, it's still fresh and present, and it just works. That's just the aesthetics wise. What I wish that they would actually change is basically, I wish that they would go actually to recycled plastics, and that we no longer have glass top screen. So a little bit backwards towards the what we had in Remarkable 1, mainly because the durability was and still is a big problem with Remarkable 2. It's a very fragile device because everything is packed so tightly, and it's aluminum and glass, and stuff goes wrong. So I wish that they would actually compromise on some of the thinness and everything for the sake of durability and practicality and the longevity of the device, because it's apparent that they are not releasing the devices that often. I wish that they don't add a front light. I wish that they remain like this. And I wish that they would actually use one other wish why I don't want them to use the glass is that they can actually get closer to the surface of the screen, sort of like the Quaderno has, which is something that's a really important point, and something that makes you feel more connected. And basically what I'm looking for is going away from a tablet and going more in a direction of a digital piece of paper, which is what it was originally intended to be. But it started to wear off course dramatically, especially after we gotten this thing, right? So that's basically, those are my primary wishes. I also wish that they do not go for color. I wish that they just remain focused, and that they kind of focus far more on it being a truly a distraction-free type of a device, and something that's a paper replacement. Remarkable 2 is gorgeous, but because of the metal, because of the glass, it doesn't feel like it. It's rigid, it's fragile, it's heavy-ish, and it doesn't feel like that. Remarkable 1 feels more like that. The Sony DPT devices feel more like digital paper pieces or devices. So those are my primary kind of design-wise concerns. Spec-wise, I would really hope that they would go with better specs all around. I'm not talking something crazy, but a standard like a quad-core CPU with maybe 3 gigs of RAM or 4 gigs of RAM and decent amount of storage, let's say 16 to 32 gigabytes, would be a okay kind of a adequate type of a bump up. 8 gigs is way too little on this one, and it's very, very limiting. SD cards and all that kind of stuff, I really don't care about that. And in all honesty, that's pretty much it. What I would hope that the Remarkable would be. Why so minimalistic? Because we have other stuff, right? Books is going to cover the Android tablet, e-ink Android tablet range of products, and they're going to do that every single year, all the time. Supernote is doing a very nice blend between, it being a more minimalistic Android, high functioning, but still tablet-like device. And what we are lacking is the other end of the spectrum. And in my mind, that's what Remarkable is supposed to be. And that's what I hope that we get to see in 3. But I seriously doubt it. That's my end. We don't hear you, Kit.
Sorry, fascinating. Yeah, what do you all think about Voya's points there? Everybody in the chat, I know some of you already said, plastic feel would go in the right direction, and certainly, that's an interesting one because I kind of think that they might be going for that more thinner and more paper-like, because the word paper comes up in their marketing endlessly. A couple of questions already, and we'll sort of do these as we go between the sections, if that's okay. Did the company announce a release date today? No, they haven't announced a release date today. I think I have a reason why, but we'll talk about it when I get to mine. I think we're now in the territory of a delay here. I don't think we're in a normal schedule, if all things being equal. And an RM3 wouldn't need much. Yeah, exactly. Increase the storage, and you made this point in there where just something sensible, 4 or 6 gigabytes of RAM instead of the 2 at the minute. Is that even right, or is it 1? And offline handwriting recognition, absolutely.
I would +1 that.
Yeah, linking. Just bring it up to the speed, the software up to the speed of the competition there. SD card slot and opt out at the end of Canvas. A fingerprint reader for security. Interesting. Color. We need color the most. We'll talk about that as we go, I'm sure. I still like the Remarkable is its simplicity, and I think Voya's made that point really clearly there, that having something, if they go away from the simplicity, they will probably damage their image. I'm going to roll again. So this is 1, 2, 3 is you, and 4, 5, 6 is me. It's 4, so I will go next then. Okay. So this is my wish list, or unless there's anything else to say on those comments just there, you two, before I fire in.
No, all good for me.
Let's fire in then. Right. Okay. So here is my wish list, and this is something that I have been thinking about for some time, because we it's in the first or last or only time we're going to have this kind of conversation, or have talked about these things before, or discussed on our channels before what might happen with the Remarkable 3. And I remember actually the very first video I made on them, I suggested these two things: a student version, please. Aiming at around sort of £150 rather than the sort of 400, 500, 600 pounds that they cost. And then also like a Pro A4 color version. And for me, the very first thing I thought is I love sketching on this thing because of the great tool set they have. You know, it really did. You know, it really did have closeness to paper. It really did feel like something that I could see myself carrying around as a digital sketchbook, and I did that. I've done that a fair few times, carried it around as a digital sketchbook, and really enjoyed it. So having something that was the right size for a digital sketchbook and having something that gave you the options of color for art was something that always made sense to me. I think what I would like to really see, if that was to be the case, would be for a Remarkable 3 that could have the advanced color e-paper, which is kind of what e-ink sort of sometimes refer to as being their actual e-ink capsules in color. And things like Spectra or Gallery are that. But right now, it doesn't really work for tablets yet. So, but if it could be the case that Remarkable have delayed this release of Remarkable 3 because they have got a, you know, an exclusive deal with e-ink, maybe that they are going to have a advanced color e-paper that's actually fast enough to use in a tablet, because they won't want to get rid of the kind of, you know, the kind of speed king, that the fastest, one of the fastest, among the fastest low latency in all of e-ink tablets. And right now, Gallery and other advanced color e-paper technologies can't do that. So we'll see with what I think they're going to do. But I would love it if they could actually get the first Gallery 4 maybe, and that be quick enough to be amazing for, you know, to literally be able to get this pot of colors that I have on my desk here, these lovely zebra like pencils that I use just to shade things in. You know, if I've got a bit of paper, then I can add that bit of color there and it look great. I can draw in natural paper-like colors, almost like a printer paper. You know, that would be really, really good. I would also think now, and this is what, right, if, let's say, Voya's made an excellent case for them sticking with a simplicity, but their marketing is going for the business world. And they've talked about, you know, the kind of use case of, well, you can send like a Word file, you can send a PowerPoint file, but you can only send it and you can't edit it, you can't change it. So I think they need a full redesign of their software. If they're not willing to go down the Android tablet route and allow you to use Microsoft software, they need something which is a full integration, it's full two-way integration with Microsoft Office, in my opinion. If they want to sell it to business pros, really, if they want to get it into you know, professionals' hands and be useful for productivity, if they really want to make it worthwhile as having this amazing keyboard design they've done, if they really want to make it worth us while using this thing, then it needs to integrate with our MS Cloud or other cloud apps that are out there. But at the same time, I want it to be as thin and as light as paper. At the same time, I want it to have the type folio, and at the same time, I want it to have a front light. And you can't do all these things really. And at the same time, wouldn't it be cool if it was kind of dockable? Maybe, you know, if it was part of like an ecosystem that you kind of slip into a dock on your desk, and it's the ecosystem. You pull it out of that thing when you just want to write it like a bit of paper, and it docks in, and it's part of something bigger. You know, I'm not suggesting that the actual Remarkable 3 should do all that, the actual replacement to this device. But I think if Remarkable, you know, if they want to be known as the answer, the solution to business people's problems, I think they need that ecosystem. Think about it like, well, if you use an iPhone, then you probably want to also own an iPad, even if that's like your third device that you rarely use. And you also want to own a MacBook Pro. And there are people who pay a ridiculous amount of money for the Mac Studio monitors. Can you believe that? And they're apparently wonderful. But you know, if you want to live in an Apple ecosystem, you buy everything. You buy everything Apple. And I think my wish list, because Remarkable make nice things, you know, I could see them being in 10, 15 years time, maybe being an alternative to Apple or Windows, you know, being your entire Office ecosystem, maybe. So that's my sort of
those of you keeping score at home, Kit was jabbing at me because I just bought a Mac Studio display.
No, not at all. That's a pure coincidence there. So that's my sort of 2 cents. You know, is it entirely possible? Of course, you'd have bright, amazing colors and a front light, and it'd be literally as as light as paper at the same time. It can't do everything, but in an ideal world, we'd have e-ink productivity and simplicity and balance and beautiful tech. Anything to sort of suggest on that, or yeah, cool.
Brandon, you want to go?
Well, do we have questions? I can finally hear you guys correctly, which is great. It's great to finally be here.
Yay, welcome.
Remarkable.
I think I think, Kit, that you made really good points, and I agree with quite a lot of it. But and I fully agree with the whole point that you made about the redesign of the ecosystem, that it might be necessary to actually achieve these things. But I don't think that that's actually something that they're capable of doing well. Unfortunately, that's their track record shows, unless they hire a much more experienced and serious development team that will actually do things properly. Right now, underneath all of this, there's a huge mess, and we are starting to see the consequences of this because it was never properly redesigned. And unfortunately, in video game design, I've actually seen this happen time and time again. And Remarkable 2, in its core, has a 7-year-old operating system core. And we are starting to see the consequences of that. But the second part is Office related. I fully agree with that point. I think that would be a super smart thing for them to do. But here as well, they would have to redesign and rethink a vital thing, which is, in order for it to be applicable and usable legally in various Office settings, it needs to conform to safety specifications, which it doesn't because of its cloud reliance on the cloud synchronization. So they would need to step away from the cloud mentality in order to actually be able to do that. And honestly, I don't see them actually doing that, because that's the only place where they can actually earn money that's not dependent on hardware. So I fully agree, and I wish that we would see those. But these two practical points, I'm not sure that I don't know if we're going to be able to see those.
I mean, for now, like you've got a keyboard, but you don't even have a spell checker. You've got none of the kind of autocorrect things that we'd now,
because they have to build everything from scratch, because it's all Linux based and they're building on a basic core.
But you can import the library. I mean,
apparently they can't.
Oh, snap.
It's okay. I can say that. I'm the remarkable lover in the group.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of flashing up some great comments in here as well. And if there's kind of questions that aren't necessarily related to exactly what we're talking about now, I'll star them and we'll come back to them towards the end. So stick around. If you've asked a question that might take us away from our current discussion, then we'll save them in for later. So there's some really interesting things in here. I can't imagine Remarkable would do color. Those are very loudly bashing color. Be too much of a risk for them. That's a really interesting point. Thanks, Julie. Great point. Yeah, and I get the feeling that they're probably one of the reasons we haven't seen Remarkable 3 is that it probably at the minute they couldn't do something so different to Remarkable 2. It might be because of that kind of safe in where they are really as well. Another wish list here: flexible surface, more like paper for the screen, robust in a bag or backpack. Yeah, certainly what you're saying there. Where low latency paper feeling for writing and sketching. Yeah. Offline OCR, people have mentioned quite a lot. Supernote managed to do it, so why not them? Replaceable parts, again, Supernote, and advanced color tech as well. Not just don't overwrite my personal templates, please. It doesn't do that anymore. I haven't tried it. Okay, maybe that's one of those things they might have fixed. Christina says there as well. And having more than one version like the Supernote would be great in different sizes and color options, absolutely. And I think it's kind of like where iPhone was. There was one version of iPhone, and then suddenly there was a year where they suddenly said, no, you can have different colors now if you like, and you can have an FE version and you can have a bigger version. And then also they kind of like do this thing, don't they, in iPhone world, where they expand the range and then contract the range and then expand the range, and it just they're responding to market sort of pressures and things like that. Great
I know
stuff.
they
You
made
got
the
fired.
iPhone Mini and it was amazing, and then no
Yeah.
one bought it and they got rid of it.
But people
So sad.
who bought it and love it, they still love it, don't they?
It was a crowd favorite. The people who actually bought it, it was
Yeah.
amazing. But no one bought it, and therefore we no longer have it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
Should we switch? Should we switch to me?
Yeah. Wish list. Let's go.
Yes.
All right. Wish list. I think the core here is really, really strong. And so there's a lot of rumors around where they're going to go. I think they should keep it simple and stick to what they've done well. Voya, I agree that plastic and a flexible screen would be amazing. I think that's way too pragmatic. It's not sexy enough. I think the people who use it would love it, but they'd have a hard time selling it, and they'd have a harder time having the business professionals say, look at this sexy device that I've got. Don't you want to be more like me?
Yeah.
And so as much as I'd love to see it, I think it would improve my experience. I don't think we're going to see that. What I would love to see on the hardware side is keep it simple, stay black and white, go 300 pixels per inch, give us that same display from the Kindle Scribe, keep this form factor, this size specifically, and then augment it with another accessory, not a keyboard, anything like that. I think there's room for a proper Pro Pen. I said this maybe 6 months ago, that a proper Pro Pen that would let me change tools without having to go into the menu is exactly what I want to see. Like right now, if I want to do a graphic like this, I'm sketching with my black pen. I then need to go in and turn on the tools, go in here, go to highlighter, close that, close this, then draw my highlighter, then go back in, then go here, then go here, then go here. It's way too much. And so if we just had a pen where we have a button or a squeeze gesture where I can get to my tools, that would make my life so much easier. And you could charge ludicrous amounts of money and it would be worth it for me. And I argue that it'd be worth it for a lot of other people. And Apple have shown that they can do it. The new iPad pen also has this squeeze gesture. And so it's no longer theoretical. We actually have that. So that's what I'd like to see on the hardware side. But I think more importantly, I'd like to see changes on the software side. I'd like to see them move transcription out of the cloud and onto the device itself, and then give us real-time or pseudo-real-time indexing of my documents. So if I mentioned a specific word maybe 6 months ago, and I don't remember which document it's in or which page it's in, if I could just search from the home screen and get to that, that would be amazing. But it's not possible until they reduce their reliance on the cloud. Because right now, when you transcribe a document on the Remarkable, it sends it up to the cloud, all the transcription's done there, and then it brings it back down. But if we could do it on device, then we could have that full document index, which would be great. The other thing, while you're at it, this is the device for business, if you will. And I think where this is weakest, and I wrote about this on Patreon earlier today, where this device is weakest is if you need to do meeting notes. So if you bring this device into a meeting, you jot down your notes, and then you want to share those notes with someone else, you need to go clean them up. You need to transcribe them. I'm never going to email those notes directly to someone from this device in its current state. And so I then need to go back to my computer, clean them up, then share them. And it's an unnecessary step to the point where I don't want to use this device for meeting notes, or if I'm purely using it for meeting notes, this is not a great device. So I'd love to see them put a microphone on here, beef the CPU up where we can run some basic language models. We could run Whisper on this, transcribe the meeting in real time, and then allow me to clean that up and share it. So then I can have my notes that I wrote. I can have the full transcript. I can pull things from there and then clean it up and share it. And then it's actually the one device I can bring into a meeting, and it captured everything that I wanted there. Similarly, outside of a meeting context, I want that same thing when I'm coming up with ideas. So for instance, I'm working on playlist right now, and sometimes I just sit and I sketch. I have an idea that comes to me. And now if I want to do that, I need to go grab my computer and then I type that idea or I dictate that idea. I would love to just be able to use this device, go somewhere else, leave my desk, go sit on the couch, go sit on the back porch, rock in a chair, and just think or dictate and have all that come into this one device and then be able to pull the stuff out and come back later. So those are two things I'd like to see. The last thing I'd love to see is maybe a larger screen. I mean, there have been rumors of this 12-inch device. I'd love to be able to have my book size device in a Remarkable. I loved this form factor. I'm a believer that the larger the canvas, the bigger the ideas. And so that's why I run my Remarkable in landscape. That's why I run this in landscape. But I want the Remarkable tool set on a device this size. So anyway, that's my wish list. I don't think we're going to get that, but that's my wish list.
Yeah, I think Gianfranco says here, the tool set is, better on the Remarkable than in the Note Air 2 Plus. Harder to do that drawing on the Note Air 2 Plus there as well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love the way the highlighter works on the Remarkable where, well, I do have a nitpick. So if I go into the highlighter, I actually don't use the gray highlighter because the gray highlighter stacks. Sorry, I can move this to where it doesn't glare so bad. The gray highlighter stacks. And so I actually use the yellow highlighter because it doesn't stack and I can draw over this and clean up my rough edges and it doesn't hurt anything. If I do that same thing with the gray, it's a feature, but it's not necessarily what I want a lot of the time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's nice for drawing, that is, but it's not,
It just kind of depends on what you're looking at.
Yeah, for some types of drawing, yeah. And this is what I've been saying. Somebody said it in here as well. A drawing app like the Supernote with different export options. Because the one thing about I don't know that any other of them actually let you export as SVG, but Remarkable does. Again, full drawing app with full drawing tools and all those options, rather than just be like, well, for some reason the yellow does something different than the gray. It's like, and I've found that out, and so I can do what I want. But actually say,
that's actually a great point. Oh, can I add to my wish list? Yeah. So the one thing I hate about the Remarkable is the fact that I need to go 2 layers deep to get to a pen. I love that on the Books device, I can configure it and have it dock here. Sorry, a little bit of glare. I can configure it exactly the way I want and then dock it. Would love to be able to just create pen presets and dock them right here.
Yeah, totally.
But that would be too easy. Let's not do that.
I think similar to you, Ahmet says a 13-inch Remarkable would switch that immediately. I'd certainly get that as well. Yeah, lots more. So wish lists just coming through. Unless, Voya, have you got anything you want to add to challenge Brandon on just before we have a look at?
No, not really, because they're all very, very concrete points that I ultimately agree on or agree with. Whether or not they're realistic, they are, but I think that it would require a bigger change than just the CEO that they've changed. So it would require a fundamental change. And I think we are going to see a fundamental change. Unfortunately, not in that direction, but more on that in what we expect to see.
Yeah,
cool. Voya, do you have any idea what their engineering team looks like? I don't even have an idea.
No. I met up with them long time ago on their. They called me up just to kind of say thanks and stuff because it was back in the Remarkable 1 days when they were still young and fresh, and they were just kind of thankful with the exposure and stuff. And it was just a nice chat with 3 of them, and it was one person from software, one person from marketing, and one person from hardware, and we were just talking and chatting. But it was 2018 or something like that, so it was a very, very long time ago, and I honestly don't even know if those people are still around or not. Only direct connections that I've had recently or communications are from software side of things, but that's not something that I'm privy to share, because those were friendly personal chats that are not going to be part of any on-air discussions.
Absolutely. Cool. Some other good things in here. A spec bump is most important to focus on. I mean, is this why you're asking about this, Brandon? Why the engineering? Why is that most important to you? Is it what can be done in terms of keeping it thin and light whilst improving the power? Or?
Well, I mean, I think we've seen feature development slow quite significantly. I think there are potentially two reasons for that. It could be that they just are dealing with the OS level things that are just challenging. And I think that's definitely a factor. The other piece could be that the next remarkable is so different that what they're working on just won't run on the existing hardware. And that's why we're not seeing new features. I don't necessarily think that that's true. But we can all dream and hope that that's what it is, that they've got a lovely new interface and great new features that just won't run on this spec. But honestly, we'll find out.
But does that mean that then once the new generation device or devices do come out, and these become automatically obsolete? I don't think that they can afford that because they got a massive amount of users. And then they would be facing a challenge of running two parallel platforms that need to kind of integrate. Or what do you do with people who already have a Remarkable 2 and want another one and maybe integrate those? So
it's a PR nightmare. It's not the path I would recommend, but...
And they've already said they're about sustainability and they want you to own a device for a long, long time and keep using it. I think there's an interesting point here. Hung says, I only can describe, but wonder why a big company like Amazon still keep the scribe so basic. And I think the point is it's not that hard to do. It's not that easy to do. It's not that easy to code for this different type of screen.
I mean, I think that's a big part of why we haven't seen another Remarkable. I think if the Kindle Scribe had come out of the gate and been maybe what the three of us were hoping it would be, then Remarkable would have had a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And they would have needed to do something. But with the Kindle Scribe shipping in a half-done state and Supernote having to delay the A5X2, they actually have way more breathing room than I was expecting them to have at this point.
Yeah.
Just a comment on what you said, Kit, about the difficulty of implementation for e-ink and stuff. Actually, from a technical standpoint, it's not really difficult at all. The only difference that an e-ink screen has, as opposed to a standard screen, the advantage why it's so cool, is that it can have an open and a hold state, so to speak. So have you, I don't know, in programming, in game development, you have this kind of overdraw mode, which basically gives you a chance of like, hey, I'm continually receiving input. I'm not refreshing a single pixel on the whole screen. That is something that no LCD, OLED, or anything does at the standard thing. That's basically what the e-ink screen does when you're writing. So honestly, from a technical standpoint, the only thing you're going to have to tell the e-ink screen is, or communicate to the e-ink screen board that's already there. They don't have to do anything. They just need to send a command while using the libraries that are supplied by e-ink. So they just need to send the code, hey, run this mode. So when you're writing, it's just not refreshing anything, right? So when you pull up the pen, remove ghosting, and you're done. Or trigger an A2 mode, or trigger this mode. So that's exactly what we're seeing here. Okay, 2 fingers on the screen, go into A2 mode so that we're fast. When you release, refresh the screen, go back into this mode. That's it. So unfortunately, it's not that.
My point is, it's more, the software that's already out there for, if you're a smaller company and you want to put out an Android tablet with an LCD screen, you can rely on the fact the user's going to have a good experience because you're going to have stock Android. You might wish to put a little bit of skin on top, but you can choose to leave things untouched. Whereas for Amazon Scribe and for this one, it isn't an Android one. It is it's a Linux-based system, and I don't know what the system is for the Amazon Kindle, but it's just, I mean, it's okay. You're right. The wrong language it isn't necessarily hard, but it does take a long time. It takes a lot of.
There's having to build more of the plumbing, whereas on Android, you've got a good functional UI library that runs well on tablets. There's a proven track record of that. And then they just have to go the last mile, whereas Amazon and Remarkable are building it from the ground up. Theoretically, there's better performance upside, but you're running on a device that has very limited specs. And so there's probably a lot of performance optimization they're having to do.
Yeah, I like this comment here. 9 years old.
Yeah.
There was also a comment asking about the Lenovo and one other thing, versus the Remarkable 2. And if you're choosing between those two, you're choosing between some outdated processors on both counts. And I think look into is one of the reasons why. And one of the reasons why there's probably a place for a Remarkable and a place for a Books type device in your world is that Books does have the advantage of, and other full Android tablets have the advantage of allowing you to access any Android app, and you can then decide which ones work okay for you on e-ink and which ones don't. Cool, fascinating discussion. Should we talk realism next now?
Pause for just a second.
Yeah,
it's something that just dawned on me. Valve has done a port of Windows to Linux for Steam Deck.
Right, yeah.
Is there a potential for leveraging some of that for a device that has much better specs? Could a future Remarkable run on something more along that line that could open up more app opportunities?
Are you saying it will be able to run Doom?
We could probably run Doom on the current one.
Sorry, could be revisit.
25-year-old game, can't it? Yeah. Amazing. Okay. There's some really other ones. Well, a quick wish list before we go through it. Old-fashioned physical buttons to select writing tools. Yeah.
Also too practical. They would never do it. It'd be way too easy. It just wouldn't look good.
Move the charging point to the top where the power button is. Replaceable parts again. Yeah, the batteries.
Well, I think they're going to have to do that, right? They're going to have to do replaceable batteries.
Yeah. Better direct computer file transfer. Yeah, and backup. Okay. Google Drive text recognition. An integration with Google Drive is there, but it's kind of one way, isn't it, at the minute?
Yeah, it's not really what you would expect. It's more of like a pull push versus a true integration.
You can't even decide into which folder to upload.
That is frustrating when you have organization.
And a mini size version as well, though. Cool. There's some other things about the Scribe. We might have to do a whole other chat like this on what the Kindle Scribe next one might look like and what the future of that is.
Yeah,
I'm up for that.
Yeah. I'm up for that.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Let's fire in for the next thing. So realism now, and we'll randomize the order again because why not? And here we are. This was you then, Voya, because
okay.
1, 2 was you for the first off.
Yeah. I'm just gonna add the listing.
Love it.
Which I prepared. So what I think, based on the information that we have, that we will get to see, or what I think that Remarkable was potentially planning to do. I don't know how much you guys followed, but the new CEO, when there was a switch, there was a comment, there were several comments, but one of the comments was that they want to basically go for profitability. And when that switch came, I also did some research on the new CEO and looked up articles on him and his performances in previous companies and things like that. He has a track record of going into companies and focusing on profitability, nothing else. That is basically the thing. And one of the comments that was floating was that it's likely, or there's a possibility, that Remarkable might switch to a more Apple-like model, as in we get to see new models on 12 to 18 months kind of periods, and that we might get to have multiple tiers. That is not a bad strategy. That's something that's financially makes a lot of sense. It doesn't have a lot to do with the sustainability that they were talking before. But I think that the elements of sustainability for that kind of model would have to mean that either they're going to have a complete redesign of the OS environment, as we've talked about when you talked about, Brandon. I don't see that happening. If they are investing in one thing, they can't invest in both. They will invest either in hardware or in software. They cannot do both. So I think that they're going to go hardware route, and that we're going to see eventually, either at the same time or eventually, that we're going to see a 7.8 version or Remarkable Tree Mini or Lite, which I think personally would be a perfect thing to have. That would be, it would sell like hotcakes if it was priced properly. Remarkable Tree, I'll talk about some differences that I also think are going to be a part of it. And of course, the 13.3-inch version, which would be the Pro version with higher specs and possibly some options. Now, hardware-wise, what I think they're probably going to do is, I don't know how much you guys can see, but originally, the original Remarkable does not have equal width of a bezel all around. It has a much thicker bottom line. That was not an issue before. When Remarkable 2 came out, it didn't have a portrait landscape mode. It now does have a landscape mode, and it relies on it. And visually, the sexiness and all that kind of stuff, I'm absolutely certain that what we're going to see in one shape or another, no matter what kind of shape Remarkable takes, we are going to see symmetrical borders horizontally and vertically, so that you can get the centralized view at the screen, whether your tablet is in a portrait or landscape mode. If they don't do that, then something's wrong with them. The second thing that I think they're gonna have to do, and I have no insider info here, but what I honestly believe is happening is that I don't think that we're going to see a Remarkable Tree this year. And I don't think that we're going to see it simply because they didn't think about the EU laws of being have to have it as a repairable device. So this thing at its 4.7 millimeters, that cannot possibly be the same thing that you're going to have with a replaceable battery or something like that. So the repairability and the sexiness factor, they clash. And repairability is a law. So they cannot go around that. So I think that maybe somebody either forgot or they didn't account for that, and that some redesigning is happening.
That's
So
that's 2027, I think, that law comes in.
But either way, any device they're
either
shipping
way,
now is
future,
still going to
yeah.
be available.
4 years.
Oh yeah, you're right. They want to sell it for that long. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Sorry to interrupt.
So that's all I'm saying. This one came out in 2020, and now we're 2024, and it's probably going to sell into 2025, which is a good thing. That's a longevity thing. So I think that's one of the things that we're going to see. The only thing that I can't really get my head around is, I'm pretty sure that they're going to go route of multiple formats of devices and introduce tiers, such as that the Pro is going to have features that you're going to have automatically included, for example, on-device or offline OCR, while you might have to pay for that as a subscription thing if you have your Remarkable Tree Lite or something. They're going to milk that. They're absolutely going to milk it in some way. But yeah, that's the only thing that what I don't understand how or where it fits is the type folio. I don't see how that would fit other than creating a dedicated docking station, sort of like what you talked about, Kit, that could possibly then hook up to an external display as well that has this has that, and it has compatibility for all of these models so that you can actually just dock a mini, a standard, or a Pro into the whole thing. So that's more of a hope than what I expect. I don't this other part of the docking station, I don't expect that's gonna happen. That was just simply me thinking about it. But I expect multi-tier devices, equal bezel around the parts. I expect that it's not going to be in 2024 because of the repairability aspect. And I don't expect a change in the OS or anything like that, because it's primed in such a way with the archive and everything that you can have, for example, Pro having 64 gigabytes, Mini having, or Lite having 8 gigs, and Standard having 16, and the platform will still work with that. It's not going to be ideal, but it will still function. So yeah.
Cool. Fascinating. I think this harsh prediction from Dennis, but
Hey, I have a similar take when we get over to me.
okay. Have you got anything to challenge Voya on, or sort of agree with him on at this point?
No, I feel bad because he did a visual, and I don't have a visual to go with mine.
Visual.
So just imagine that it looks just like Voya's.
This is
8.8.
I think the 7.8-inch point you make there, mate, and the philosophy of making money, which you say they're undoubtedly having in their company at this point, I think you're absolutely right. It would sell really, really well, and people who own a bigger one would think, "Oh, I'll get one of those." Or people who, I certainly the smaller super notes always seem to suit my wife better, you know, and she wouldn't want to carry around something this size, but she's great, you know, she's wonderful. A5, sorry, A6 rather, is just right for her. So yeah, I think I think that would, yeah, if they price it right, absolutely. Really,
As long as the syncing is good, I think it would be really great. But Remarkable has not done multiple display sizes yet. And so does the syncing work well on an A6 writing then rendered on this size? And vice versa. I mean, I've seen devices not handle that well. Like when I pull in different books devices that were authored at different screen sizes, it's not exactly always an easy transition.
No, it is not. Okay, so should we roll the dice for the final choice? So I'll go the odd numbers, and you can go the even numbers. Okay.
Fair enough.
It's even.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. So
I'll put you up. Hang on.
I think Voya got it mostly right, but on a longer, you can bring it to my face. There's no visual to share.
No visual.
There's no visual. This is all imaginary. I think Voya got it right, but I think on a long-term time scale, I think what we're going to see in 2024 to 2025 is not a Remarkable 3, but a Remarkable Pro. I do think the 12-inch color rumors are accurate. It's not what I want, unless the advanced color ink is better than Kaleido in a major way. I don't want. Oh, hi, Voya. I don't want color here just because I find that the multiple colors and the filtering array, at least in Kaleido, is very, very distracting. Maybe a Gallery 4 can solve that, but until we see that, I'm not sure about that. But I think we'll see a 12-inch color Remarkable Pro. I think we'll see that first because everyone will upgrade. Or not everyone, but a large number of people will upgrade from their existing Remarkable 2 to a more powerful, more color, premium Remarkable Pro. And then on a longer timeline, I think we'll see them come back and do a proper Remarkable 3. But at that point, everyone will have upgraded to the Remarkable Pro, and then people will then decide that that device is too big or they really just want proper black and white. And then they'll get a Remarkable 3 when it comes out, maybe 2026. And so a Pro version that's color, targeted at a different user. So I think the color user, I think they're going to actually try and go the art route. I think they're going to, and again, I don't think this is the right strategy. I do not agree with this strategy one bit, but I think they're going to go with the larger size. They're going to play up the artistic side of it. They're going to play up the fact that you have color and do a premium product, and then come back and do what we think of as a Remarkable 3, a 300 pixel per inch in this form factor, but not as soon as we'd like to see it. So I hope I'm wrong, but that's what I expect to happen.
I think you're almost undoubtedly right in terms of that being the order. Well, I don't think it's not undoubtedly, that's for sure, because I hadn't cottoned on to the idea of a 7.8, but I think you're right. And I think given the marketing money that's gone into selling the Remarkable 2 just recently, that can't just be get rid of old stock, can it? And that does point to the Remarkable 2s they're selling. If they I just saw an iJustine video on this and I bought it, and then half a year later the Remarkable 3's out, that would be difficult.
Well, they have a problem there either way, which is the 100-day return policy. The second they announce a new Remarkable, how many returns are they going to get that day?
Mm.
Like that's 3 months worth of purchases that are likely all going to come back.
Yeah, fascinating. Yeah, really interesting. Okay, shall I fire into mine? Or there's a few more, a few more like wishes really. Want Remarkable to remain a paper tablet. I think your Voya's sort of path for them, they can still do that. For writing and drawing only, I think that's a really interesting point you made about going in all in on the art things. Not too fond of typing, so if you have a larger one, it doesn't necessarily need a type folio. Although a bigger keyboard would give you more room, and that would be quite a nice thing to do. And actually, the 12-inch size might be right for a type folio.
Well, I mean, people have said that the new iPad keyboards are the proper like MacBook size on the 13-inch iPads, and they said it's lovely. So I could see a larger Remarkable with a proper type folio being really nice.
Yeah, and Remarkable is such a weird setup. Most successful tech investors yet. And aside from that, they're an absolute mess. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
I might push back on that. I don't know that they're a mess. I mean, I think they would have liked to have had this refresh sooner. And I think they would have liked to be able to take back their Connect gaff. But overall, for their core audience, I think people who have this device and like this device, who use this device, generally like it. And so obviously they could do better, but I don't know that they've messed this up in a major way.
Yeah.
Well, for me, the mess up is regarding the reputation for the not hardcore Remarkable fan. So what I mean about that, it's not in a derogatory way of any sort or anything like that. It's just some people who have the Remarkable, they're really happy about it, and they don't care about any negatives or anything like that because this is good for me. That's what I care. So for that type of audience, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But I think that Remarkable did mess up for a big chunk of potential customers who were pushed back with the Connect thing, and who get pushed back with one thing that's still not corrected, and it does irk me in a bad way because it's an indication of the mentality of the company, of what they are willing to do and what they're okay with, and that's one word: unlimited. In the context of unlimited storage, this has been part of their lingo for far too long for it to be a mistake, an oversight, or anything like that. This is by design. And that means that they are using intentional misleading of potential and existing customers by design. And that, to me, is a problem. Because if you say unlimited storage to anyone in the entire world, what are they going to think about? The unlimited storage capacity. But that's not what you get. You get unlimited storage time before it's deleted from the cloud. And to me, that's just one of the examples of the mess up that I think that they are continually doing. What if they change that? That would be a good thing to see, but I haven't seen any ownership of that. They're just or not owning up to that being a mistake, other than that's actually just a conscious design decision.
Yeah, they're just hardcore marketing at this point, to the point where they don't even have to own it, which is unfortunate. Yeah. What is the capacity? Is it the device capacity, or is there a specific limit?
No, it's a device. It's an unlimited storage. For basically what it means that is if you have a free connect, then you have 50 days. Any file, any document that is on the cloud, if it is not accessed within 50 days, it will be deleted from the cloud, but it will remain on your device, which means that you can access it on your device and then synchronize it, and then it will be another cycle of 50 days. If you have any of the paid accounts or paid Connect memberships, it's unlimited. They just simply don't delete the stuff from it. It's an unlimited storage.
It's a really interesting chat going on. I just want to sort of bring this out, and then I'll do my thoughts about this. I'm going to have to buy a degrading battery. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people are also saying, well,
That's impressive though that you've used it enough that the battery is degraded.
yeah,
How are y'all's holding up?
it's
totally
fine.
fine.
Yeah,
mine's good
probably isn't
too.
as good as day one, but it's still so it doesn't.
Although I've noticed from the last update that actually something that didn't happen before 3.11 is that it started to go out of battery while it's sleeping, and for the longest time, that's if they managed to do something really good, they did that low no activity sleep state was excellent. But in 3.11, I suddenly started to see both of the remarkables actually. Maybe it was a coincidence. I don't know, but it happened twice on both of them. So yeah, but other than that, it was normal for normal use.
You know, now that you mention that, Voya, I have had mine.
You as well?
Like, yeah, it died while on my desk.
That's strange.
Yeah.
And
I just got 312 today, so I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah.
There also this discussion between Remarkable and books. Outside of aesthetics, Remarkable is poor value, and then the other side of that is, well, I'm not interested in books at all. I have an iPhone, iPad, e-reader, PC for other purposes, and love the simplicity of that. You know, they're really different devices. Really, yeah, it's like
can we bring them on and just have them talk?
Yeah, we can bring people on. It's an idea for the future. Yeah, they just aren't improving the usefulness of the software in the updates. And then Eric,
that is a very fair point.
It gives a really good review of Voya, actually. Eric, can you review all of us, please? I'd like you know, your just Eric. So let's fire on with me. I'll be number 1 to 6. Roll the dice. It's a 6. That means I get a double go as well. And let's fire in.
Crit success.
Collect 200.
Thank you. So yeah, I think that in autumn, I think we'll see a Remarkable Pro. I think that will have a 12-inch screen. I think that those rumors have been out there for some time, and I think that will be color. And I think that will be a Kaleido free. And this is why I think the delay's been the redesign. Because I think they had plans for that to be Gallery 3. Because when Gallery 3 was being talked about, it was very exciting for people, and people thinking, yeah, this might be the future. And I think they maybe thought that would allow them to do a color at that size and no front light. And for this reason, I think that they'll have had to have, right, okay, Kaleido 3 has done really well. And people have been really pleased with it, sort of surprised about how good that was. I still think it's flawed. I still think that it won't be the final endpoint of color e-ink or e-paper technology, but I think that they'll have had to have compromised, and I think they'll have wanted to get this thing out, and they'll have made plans in terms of using color in terms of the apps and highlighting, and I think they'll have planned the marketing campaign based on color already. And I think that, however, a Kaleido free screen without a front light wouldn't be the right choice, and that device would quite quickly get a lot of poor reviews, and people wouldn't want to buy it. So I think that is what we'll see. I think we'll see a 12-inch Kaleido 3, and I think it will be slightly thicker. And I think that they will try their best. You know, they'll try. I think that will make it slightly thicker. I think they'll aim for 5.0 so that they can say it's thinner than an iPad. I think they will. You know, the latest iPads are 5.1. I think is the 11-inch model. I think they'll still try and, you know, they've had that marketing language of world's thinnest tablet, paper-like paper tablet, they're calling it. And I think that they will have they will have that. They won't want to lose that. They won't want to be able to not say that. Mm-hmm. They won't want to not be able to talk about it being thin and light, in just the same way as you saw that marketing language over and over and over again with the iPad launch. And I think also in that same way, they will have very small bezels, and not even just smaller than this. And I agree, equal bezel size all around. I think we'll see that. But I think they will try and get the e-ink screen to be almost to the edge, and where iPad and Apple were talking about as thin and light as a sheet of glass, as close as possible to that sheet of glass in their hand. Remarkable will be talking about it being as close as possible to that sheet of paper in their hand. So to have a visual, because we all agreed to bring a visual, just joking. To have a visual, I thought, well, what size would that be? And this is just a mock-up for sort of size here. And I looked at the current e-ink 12-inch options that are out there. And there is a 12-inch Kaleido 3 display, and it's in a Dassault monitor currently. Okay, so that's why I think it'll be that display, because it exists. And so the 12-inch display is a 16:10 ratio. So it's not quite widescreen. So what I did was I put that into a, well, what does that give me in terms of ratio here? And 12 inches exactly, although it might be something like there's a 12.48. E-ink always made 12.48 inch as well. So it might be that. But the 12-inch Kaleido is essentially this dimensions, and it's in a monitor, as I say. And it's the inside box on this thing here. And as I think that it will be pretty much screen right to the edge, or as close as they can make that. I think that will be the size of the device with a very thin bezel. And I've just gone for the same 1 centimeter, thin enough to essentially hold the USB-C as it is currently now at the bottom here, and the power button at the top. And you see now the footprint isn't that much bigger than the Remarkable 2, although now the screen is that much larger. So I imagine that might be what we'll get. And ever so slightly larger than this, probably, because there will have to be some kind of a bezel around the edge. I think that'll be what they'll go for. And I think they will. Thanks, Donna. I think that will be what they will. I planned it out earlier. I've drawn the whole thing with a ruler and everything.
Thank you, Donna. I appreciate you.
Yeah. And I think, it's got that nice length, and they've gone for that vertical scrolling thing. Actually horizontally, it'll make sense as a kind of screen as well. Yeah, I think that will be what we'll get. And I think that I also have other points as well. I don't think that will be all we'll get in this kind of generation, but I think we will see that this year. I think we'll see that in autumn. But I thought we'd see Remarkable 3 last autumn, so what do I know? It would need a new type folio, but also you get a little bit wider, a little bit more space for the keys at that size. You'd need a better processor, I think. And I think we'll see somewhere in that region of 2.4 gigahertz in this one, which would be called a Remarkable Pro. That's what I would expect. And then they carry on selling the Remarkable 2 for another year, essentially. And I think because people do complain about the kind of the input lag with touch. They don't complain about the pen input, because that's good. But the input lag with touch, people do complain about that. So I think they will go from, this is a 1.2. The Remarkable 2 currently is a 1.2 gigahertz processor, which is like, very slow processor speeds by modern standards. So I think they will go for, it's not an expensive processor now to get a 2.4 gigahertz processor. And I think they will go up to, in this version, 64 or 128 gigabytes. I don't think there'll be a choice, but I think that's the region they'll go for. And I think that thing will be about £800, that kind of region, $800, something like that. And then I also think next year, in 2025, we'll see the Remarkable 3, which will be back to kind of, their tried and true 10.3 inch, 300 ppi, similar thinner bezels, but not close to zero bezels. Something they can do without breaking boundaries in engineering, but still do well. I think they will try and make it even thinner than the Remarkable 2. I did wonder whether the Remarkable 3 would fit into the existing type folio. I think that could be a choice, maybe with a slightly larger 10-inch screenish. And I think that will have a cheaper system on chip with about 1.8 gigahertz and 2 gigabytes of RAM, and maybe up to 32 gigabytes of storage. And then, that's what I think they'll do. I just wanted to say, I think that with this, we talked briefly about the Apple keyboard. I wonder, I personally think it's certainly nicer for the Remarkable to have this typefolio the way they've done it, the way it's hidden, and the way that when you hold it like a book still, it doesn't have the keys on the back. I think it's a better design than the Magic Keyboard, but I've yet to sort of daily drive a Magic Keyboard and know what that's like. So it's interesting. I think they'll stick with that typefolio, and I think that I think they've kind of nailed their colors to the mast on that one, and the improvements, the updates they've made to the typing and everything. I mean, they've worked hard on this new font they've got, and I don't
so
think
this took us a year. Don't you love it?
I don't think we'll see them sort of throw all that out and go in a totally new direction. So I think we'll see more kind of office-based changes to the system as we go forward. That's what I expect.
All right, I have some thoughts. So I agree on the Pro and then revert back to Remarkable 3. I think we'll get to an annual release cycle alternating between Pro and regular Remarkable. That'll be the norm.
A smaller version. Cool.
Maybe. I don't think we're going to see that right away. I think it's a great idea, but I don't know that we'll see it right away. I don't think they've got the resources to do 3 different devices simultaneously.
Yeah, okay. But after this kind of free focus session that we have, this free market research session we've done for them, they might, you never know, they might go with it.
I'd love to see it, but I don't think they're going to use the existing typefolio. I think they'll take this opportunity to fix some of the things that they realized about the typefolio, especially if you've got a little bit more room. They're going to use every millimeter of that extra space that they get from that new footprint.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty much plausible that from a marketing point of view and what's available currently to actually go for the Kaleido tree, front light, and all that kind of stuff, that's going to alienate quite a few people, but you're going to gain other people as well. It sells well, it's colorful, it's fine. One thing that worries me about that is that the calibration of this is where it's difficult. Monochromatic screen is easy to do. Kaleido tree, to actually have it display nicely the colors, we've seen now from multiple devices. This is very, very difficult for people to do, and for experienced teams who have dealt and had multiple color e-ink devices prior to Kaleido tree. I'm mainly thinking about Big Me and books. They've struggled with it. Okay, you have Pocketbook as well. Only now has, a couple of them have been able to actually kind of crack it and start giving out proper good color results. But even there, we've seen them struggling with getting the consistency of reds or this or that, and et cetera, et cetera. So that is my number one concern. If they're going for that, how will be the performance of the colors? And the second part is Kaleido tree has serious ghosting issues with color content without BSR. And we've seen that now wave on every device that doesn't have a BSR. They have a mountain of a challenge to overcome. So, hopefully we get to see that with good results, but those are 2 genuinely difficult challenges that they would need to overcome in that kind of a scenario.
Yeah, I agree. I've got a video coming this week where I talk about the concerns of trying to do that, because at that point you basically have an iPad with a slow refresh rate with poor color. And is that really a better experience for an artist than what they have on an iPad? I mean, it doesn't sound like the right direction to me, but maybe they see something that I don't.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Mobiscribe, I saw you've reviewed the Mobiscribe wave color. Ruby says they've done well on the color.
Yeah, Obscribe Wave Color 3 or Kaleido 3, whatever they call it. That is the one example where that calibration has been done absolutely the best, like
Right.
without any comparison of any. And that's another example. Same panel, different teams. These guys nailed it, and it's a small team, so it's definitely doable. But
So it's a software thing rather than the.
It's a software calibration of the hardware. That's what makes it hard. Because what
and
you
the
need to
white
tell
point
is
on that. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Voya.
No. That exactly that.
Yeah. So the
Go.
reviews are in. Eric's watched us all. No injury in mind, but yes, apprehensive regard to that. I think that is a really interesting point that I've noticed more and more people come to our channels because they think these things could be, make a real improvement in their lives, and they're apprehensive about spending this massive money on it. So you've hit the nail on the head, Eric, and that's what kind of I've seen my kind of e-ink reviews as doing, and I think you should buy with confidence if you're wondering. And since then, you've spent thousands on these devices. So Voya really got you feel. So you're on Team Voya because of that. We're not competitive people at all. We've tried to be competitive on these chats, but it didn't go very well. All you guys are solid. Great for the community. Despise Android OS, but I'm learning. E-ink is super cool for my eyes. I read for a living. Yeah, great. And if you fit Eric's category, then the good news is that most of these devices are excellent. We are just picking between them as to sort of where where that sweet spot is for you.
I just love that there are multiple options for different people. I think what this show has demonstrated is that 3 different people have 3 different opinions, and there are different products that fit each of us better. That is so much better than just Remarkable existing and no one applying pressure to them. So I'd love to see more.
Interesting point about drawing on Kaleido 3. I went to London and did a sort of drawing day on and took some devices. And the one that I really loved most, spoiler alert, you won't need to watch the video when that comes out. If you hear this, is I really enjoyed the Supernote the best, because it just had the best tool set for drawing now. And the difficulty was as well is like what you do with that drawing afterwards, the colors look one way on the screen. And then you send them to your OLED screen. And it's like, wow, I need to get this into Photoshop quick and change these colors because it just isn't anywhere near the rendition again.
Well, that's what I'm saying is on a Kaleido screen, you can't do color accurate work. Like if you care about your color, it's not going to be good.
But imagine if they books Supernote Remarkable were smart about it and they had a part of their paid subscription or something like that, whatever they want, part of the desktop app is recolor your exported images. Do you know how easy that is?
Yeah.
Every vector that you've done contains vector points and also the color information. So all you need to do is, it's mind-bogglingly easy to do, that you can just some kind of replace the palette of your stuff. So you can doodle somewhat representative of what you would like it to be on your device, put it out on your desktop app, recolorize, and hey, we could introduce AI paid functions there to kind of help you pop out the images, smooth out these things, blah, 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 feel out this, blah, 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 and, AI cells. So those things there's so many opportunities that are not gimmicks, that are highly marketable and are not gimmicks, but we just we keep seeing MVP. And
that's a great point. I'm going to add that to my wish list. Is I want a fill tool on the Remarkable. Why can't I do a background fill where I tap on a contiguous shape and it fills it with a color?
We have that on books.
I know.
Oh no, sorry. That's felt sad.
Yeah, I to be fair to Kaleido 3, and I'm currently working on the Big Me Inknote X, and I've been really enjoying reading color comics on this thing. And they are simple, sort of not many colors. There's not the old-fashioned comics, had a certain palette of colors, and it's been quite nice. It's been really enjoyable, and it's same experience on books, etc. as well. So Kaleido 3 is good as well. we're all to blame for getting my hair free. Now my daughter is getting ready to get a Kobo Libra color. I haven't tried the Kobos yet. I'd love to try them soon.
I'll say, who do we blame for the Kobo? Who reviewed the Kobo?
Yeah, tell us, Warren. Yeah. Cool. I think let's just go through a few starred and other questions and fire in. We've got another 10 minutes, is everyone, yeah? All happy?
Yeah, sounds good.
And there's been a lot of chat about the scribe actually, so let's go and have a little look back. And I do agree with you. If you want a pure reader, scribe can be an option. If you're happy in the Kindle library, it can be an option. But
I'm still disappointed in the scribe because it could have really pushed the Remarkable.
Could have. Yeah.
The hardware team showed up and the software team didn't.
Yeah, and they got that amazing, the Carter. I think I don't know if it is 1300 on there, but the exit, I think it's Carter 1250 on the scribe, maybe it was 300 ppi, and it looks great, and you can tell the difference when you got them side by side. It's not a total deal breaker on the other ones, but the improvements that Ian can make, and Scribe went ahead and Amazon got that deal, and then it was so excited. Oh, it's going to be the first one with that, and then it just, you can use it for reading and a little bit of sketching and some notes, but you've got basically no,
and a lot of ads. 3/4 of your home screen are ads that you don't want.
Yeah, and I this one that you talked about, the AI kind of functionality there. So I was bringing up that a couple of people asked about AI integrating onto Remarkable. It's kind of an interesting one. I don't think Gen AI, you said AI sells, but yeah, that could be a way to do it, like actually to take your notes and change them into something that's ready for display on ordinary screens. I mean, imagine if it could actually turn your little sketched, do a sketch of a few slides and it actually mock up PowerPoint slides that looked exactly like that in a moment. That would be quite cool, wouldn't it? Here's my sketch out my presentation. Here are my headings. And it just make the kind of bare bones PowerPoint. There are things like that, but they need to be bespoke like that, don't they? They need to be.
It's going to be a while there. I think the transcription use case we'll probably see first, which is take my writing from this page, clean it up, and make it shareable to other people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they don't even have to do that on device. That they could do that with the cloud and make that an upgraded tier on Connect.
Exactly. I mean, use the AI as the assistant for manual labor tasks that are mindless. Like, leave the creativity to humans and do the boring stuff. Do it precisely and well there, which it can do well.
Yeah, I'll get there. Do we think the Remarkable One will get pulled from software support soon?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's got to be
as soon as they change. Yeah, as soon as they change stuff, it will have to, unfortunately.
Yeah. This one, speed of Supernote compared to Scribe. Played Scribe before the device was super zippier. Supernote. Well, I guess maybe we're using the last generation of Supernote because it's got better. I would say the sort of speed around the thing. I'd also say the Scribe is a lighter operating system with fewer options, and it is certainly the sketching, the notebook thing of it is lighter.
I haven't had them side by side, but they both feel good to me.
Yeah, especially the X2, the A6 X2, because the A5 X2 is going to be the same. Yeah. It's a huge difference when you go from X to X2, and it feels really, really snippy and zippy, despite it being a far more capable device. Because let's not forget that Kindle Scribe is running nothing, like literally nothing. So
they have to run all the ads for you.
Yes,
it takes a lot of power.
But it takes a lot of power and a lot of Wi-Fi to actually continually sell the data.
Yeah, and Donna's absolutely. We're kind of which one's going to come first is the kind of point there. There is a point about being earlier to market, isn't there, for these companies? But as Voya points out, we're seeing them so early to market that they don't have these software features that people kind of want, really.
It was a real shame when A5X2 got delayed because they had a nice window where they could have sold out ahead of the next Remarkable.
Interesting point here Kurt's made, and we talked briefly about the kind of Connect thing and the user-based revolt of Sonos when they came out with their 2.0 apps. Yeah, I'm one of those, so I'm on the Sonos One app, and absolutely, it's but now guess what? There's so many cheap Sonos speakers available. I think I might just have all the really excellent first generation Sonoses in every single room in the house, and just carry on using the excellent gear that I already have, really. But yeah, interesting one. And don't replace it. This is the thing here. If it's working for you, don't just replace it for the shiny new thing. You crack on
That is a great point. There was a lot of talks today about CPU. It's like, when's the last time you upgraded your paper tablet? It's still running the same CPU that it's run for the last 100 years, 200 years.
Your paper.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah. Talking about color, whether we want to. There was also an interesting point about having, one that was mainly designed for reading, and that's the thing. They could take the idea, let's branch out Remarkable into lots of different kind of categories and actually have a reading one after that. Interesting point here, but there isn't much, and that's the thing. If you just want to read words, then stick with the black and white screen. You have to need color to make the black and white, and or you need to, or if you need to use different apps and things like that, or if note taking works better for you in color, but you have to know that you need color essentially. Because if you're happy in black and white, the black and white e-ink screens are excellent.
Well, that's the head scratcher I have about these new Kindle rumors. This idea of a color Kindle. It's like, is there, aside from comic books, is there a huge audience to buy enough color Kindles to make it worth it?
Yes, comic books is a huge audience.
But enough to warrant the quantities that Amazon has to move of that?
Well, if anyone can afford to experiment, look at it this way, if books could afford to experiment with it so early on, I'm pretty sure that Amazon, with its already existing user base, some of whom are not aware that other devices even exist, that Kindle is just, that's it, ink is Kindle, they would be absolutely chuffed to bits to actually see a color version of Paperwhite. And if Kobo did it, you can be absolutely certain that Amazon is gonna have to do it. Because Kobo did it already, so now they have to. I don't know about the big Kindle Scribe, I don't know about that, but some versions of Kindles in colors, absolutely, I think we're going to be seeing them.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. So colors available in books, color profiles are pretty poor. Yeah, we discussed that. Probably
it's not a color profile issue. It's the way the filter arrays have to work. It cuts the light so much. I mean, we're talking physics issues at this point. When you drop the white point of the device that much, your color space is so limited. And they're also not producing CMYK pigments. Go ahead.
Yeah. Exactly, the CMYK, and also if you put up a microscope up against Kaleidos, Kaleido 3 is getting better, but that stencil is still really, really imprecise. And you have a big inconsistency between the thickness and the dimensions and the positioning of the red, green, and blue stripes, especially the red ones. And that makes it, and also the cells themselves underneath it, they are not like pixels. They are all over the place. And one cell is not one pixel. You get roughly, depends what kind of cell you're going to get. They're different sizes, different distribution, different everything. So getting any kind of color consistency, it's not going to just vary from device to device, from manufacturer to manufacturer, but even the same model, same firmware, it's going to vary slightly from a device to device because of those imperfections. So Kaleido 3 is a dead end, but it's a profitable one, but it's a dead end nevertheless.
Yeah, fascinating. Yeah, and the battery trade-off as well, for my personal use is talking about here. And Yeah, interesting. And agree. Yeah, apps on readers are subpar. Hence, you use more powerful tablets for that and get a reader to do what tablet does better. Yep, absolutely agree with these. I'm not sure we about attack surface, but you tell me more about that.
Well, maybe this is referring to the fact that a lot of these books devices are running older versions of Android.
Right.
The more you've got going on the device, the more opportunity for attack, especially running on out-of-date software.
Attack surface, that makes more sense. Yeah. Cool. This is it's always good to hear these kind of things here. Yeah, note taking and occasional reading is still the core use, I think, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's a great point. That is a fantastic point.
Yeah.
You're thinking about a worldwide audience.
Yeah. And this one as well from Eric Smith. Yeah. Most valuable contributor award. Should we should start giving those out on these things now. There's been some really, really interesting comments as always on these things, and it's absolutely brilliant just to spend the time with you and have you contribute.
Absolutely. And it steers the discussion in interesting directions as well. And it always is a good thing to kind of hear interactive points as we're having a discussion.
This is another good one. Can we actually get an open source version?
Can you imagine?
Mm-hmm. Just something that can go on, go straight over Android and just be perfect for e-ink at all times.
I mean, it does beg the question of, we have these handful of Linux tablets. If we open sourced it, could we actually build something really, really good?
Well, if they, the first one who actually does that and produces a simple and a cheap ink device that's affordable, easily accessible, and is open source, they're gonna have a very stable community, a very healthy community.
Mm-hmm.
Whether Pine Note is affordable enough, I had a look into it and. Don't disagree with this one. I've got one. Let's just do gut thumbs up or thumbs down answer to this question, everybody. My gut answer is yes.
Yes. I don't know that you can answer that question directly. It depends on what you're doing. There's definitely devices that are better than the Remarkable, depending on what you're doing. There are definitely devices that are worse than the Remarkable, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, that's
there is another device that equals or surpasses the Remarkable too.
Yes,
at least in one or more.
Yes,
in one or more fields. At least my point is that, and one of them would be this one, for example. It's old and it's wonderful. That's what I hope the Remarkable 2 would look like. But Huawei made bad paper.
Okay. Cool. And that's an interesting point.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I still scratch my head on why Supernote wants to do 2 OSs.
That's weird.
It makes that again, unless they're thinking on a higher level than I can.
Well, why don't they be the ones to release that Linux, make it open source, let people, that's what it is. Let people make their distros for it. And
I think of the existing players, they're the most likely of people to do it.
Yeah, so you can have Android. Yeah, the X2, you can have Android, or you can just add any distro you like, and we'll help people in any way we can. We'll have them all on repositories in places, and that we will help you. If you need code, you can get code from us. If you need to know why it isn't working, we can have those conversations, and treat it like the community that is around Linux, and let people go to town.
I mean,
that's
would love to see it.
But let's see the A5X2 first come.
Yeah. Cool. Let's do it. Let's say good evening to you all, or good afternoon if you're in the States, I suppose. Have a good rest of your Sunday,
Yeah.
Brandon. But good
Thank
night.
you so much for joining.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
See ya.